And welcome again to Cottage Talk. This is another episode of Cottage Talk Fulham Media Buzz. This one is entitled, Here We Go Again with Mitro. This episode will focus mostly on the speculation surrounding Alexander Mitrovic. There are some updates in the media, and I'll be sharing my thoughts on these stories coming up. Also, in the second half of the show, I will share more of my thoughts on the signing of Adama Traore and Fulham's continued pursuit of Callum Hudson-Odoi. There's a story today that Fulham are still continuing going after Callum Hudson-Odoi. We shall see if that turns into anything. As always, please do subscribe on YouTube and Apple Podcasts. It does help other Fulham supporters find us. Okay, so let's get going talking about Mitro. Let's start this conversation talking about what I have seen on social media, especially on Twitter. Basically, it started right before the Fulham match, where the journalist by the name of Rudy Galletti talking about renewed interest from the Saudi club Al Hilal, and that they were potentially going to be meeting with Mitro's people. And the tweet also said, I'm paraphrasing, that they would be discussions with Fulham as well. That was step one. And we've had several journalists chime in since then. Obviously, the best known when it comes to transfer speculation is Fabrizio Romano. So I'm going to share a tweet that he had today and also one from yesterday. So this is what Fabrizio Romano tweeted today about Alexander Mitrovic. Al Hilal keep working on Mitrovic deal. As first reported yesterday, agreed on the player side and in negotiations also with Fulham. Now, on top of that, his tweet from yesterday, because he mentioned he first tweeted yesterday, this is an interesting one because yesterday he tweeted, Fabrizio Romano said, understand Al Hilal are also trying to reactivate Alexander Mitrovic deal while they negotiate final details of Neymar Jr. deal. Deal depends on Fulham as they always rejected Al Hilal proposal from Mitrovic with strong position. They still want to keep him. Now, that was yesterday from Fabrizio. I just mentioned what he had tweeted today. So that's the latest. And then you had several journalists on Twitter basically saying that, paraphrasing, that it's getting closer, making you feel that this could actually happen. So do I buy a story from Fabrizio Romano? I think he has sources. I think, again, but I also think that there is an agenda here because that's just my thoughts, my opinion, to push the narrative, to try to push this story ahead. And listen, many journalists are used by agents, used by clubs. This is what it feels like to me. It feels like all these journalists coming out today about Al Hilal's interest in Mitrovic, it feels like it's an attempt to try to push this over the line, to try to push the narrative, to try to force Fulham's hands. Now, Fulham beat to their own drum, similar to me. They do their own thing. They have a different way of doing things than most clubs. Most clubs would have already buckled to the pressure of Al Hilal, but not Fulham so far. I'm not saying that things can't change, but I want to share a couple of articles now that look at this since all this information came out. This is from Pete O'Rourke in the Football Insider. Now, you can have your thoughts of what you think about Football Insider, but I'm just going to read it. Again, this is all speculation. Fabrizio Romano is all speculation. This is from Pete O'Rourke. Sources. Fulham confident of Mitrovic U-turn after Saudi Arabia update. Fulham are determined to keep star striker Alexander Mitrovic this summer despite overtures from mega-rich Saudi Pro League Al Hilal. Sources have told Football Insider. A well-placed source has revealed the Londoners are confident of keeping the 28-year-old after his substitute cameo against Everton on Saturday. Mitrovic played 32 minutes despite reportedly vowing he would never take the field for Fulham again after Al Hilal's early window bids were rejected. Cottage's boss Marco Silva has praised the Serbia international's commitment in recent days, claiming he is still giving 100% for the club. Al Hilal, who are close to signing Paris Saint-Germain star Neymar, remain interested in Mitrovic with untold riches at their disposal to lure him to the Middle East. But it is believed that Silva remains hopeful and confident of reintegrating the former Newcastle star fully into the squad after his appearance against Everton. A well-placed source has told Football Insider that everyone in the club is determined to keep the player and hope to win him round between now and the September 1st deadline. Okay, now that is from Football Insider. Some strong stuff. Before I share my thoughts on it, I'm also going to read an article from friend of the show, Dan Crawford, on HamyN.com. Shortly after that article went up, Dan had his article, and it is entitled on HamyN.com, Fulham holding firm on Mitrovic. I'll read from Dan's article. Fulham are prepared to resist the latest Saudi Arabian interest in Alexander Mitrovic and are confident that Marco Silva's reintegration of the Serbian striker into the first team squad has been so successful that he is prepared to stay at Craven Cottage. The 28-year-old was the subject of two failed bids from Al Hilal earlier in the summer and initially trained on his own during Fulham's preseason tour of America after the Saudi Pro League side failed to match the Whites' £52 million asking price. Al Hilal, rumored to be close to signing Brazilian forward Neymar, is said to be keen on returning with an improved offer for Mitrovic in the coming days, but their current proposals are understood to still fall short of Fulham's valuation. Fulham believe they remain in a strong negotiating position over Mitrovic's future. The striker, who came off the bench on Saturday to play a pivotal part in the opening day win over Everton, retains a strong relationship with Marco Silva, who rejected repeated approaches from Al Hilal and other Saudi Arabian sides to stay in SW6 this summer. The Londoners are concentrating on adding to Silva's weeks in the final fortnight of the transfer window and are not countenancing losing any of their key players. They continue to negotiate with Chelsea over a permanent deal for winger Callum Hudson-Odoi and are also targeting midfield reinforcements alongside bringing in backup for the first-choice fullbacks Kenny Tete and Anthony Robinson. Okay, well, that's going to do it for my reading of the article. So on these two articles, on top of what I read from Fabrizio first, am I buying Fabrizio's story that there's going to be another bid potentially from the Saudi club, that they're trying really hard to get Mitro? I believe all of this. I believe what I read. But it doesn't mean that it's actually going to happen. This is, again, all speculation. Now, I just read two articles, one from Football Insider, Peter Rourke, with sources, and then I read an article from Dan Crawford at HamyN.com, and I believe Dan has a source on this one as well. That is talking about Fulham plan to basically be resolute in this onslaught coming from the Saudi Arabian team, Al Hilal, in their pursuit of Mitrovic. So I believe all the stories to be true. I think that there is truth in all of this. The question is, will Fulham be able to withstand the pressure? Because I'm telling you right now, I feel they're under a lot of pressure, not just from, say, maybe an agent, Mitrovic's agent, from Al Hilal. I think a lot of the media are really pushing this narrative to potentially, like I said, get this over the line. That's how it feels. That's how it feels to me, that they have this story and they're going to push it until it goes the way of Al Hilal. That's how it feels like to me. You might not think they have an agenda. I think they might have a little bit of an agenda. That's just my opinion. In regards to the other stories, could there be agendas on the Fulham side? Well, yeah, there could be agendas because obviously Fulham want to keep the player. But you know what? That's why I'm giving you both sides. I'm giving you what is being said on the Al Hilal side. Now I'm really giving you what is being said on the Fulham side. So with all of these stories, it's going to come down to, for me, what does Tony Khan, Shahid Khan, Alistair McIntosh do? What are they ultimately going to do here? Are they going to stand tall and resist all of this, or are they going to give in? My hope is that they continue to stand tall. They have up until this point. So we'll see if it continues to go in that direction. Things can change very quickly when it comes to the transfer window. But right now, Fulham are doing what they should be doing, in my opinion. I have said on Twitter that if Fulham buckled to the pressure, I would be very disappointed if they sold Mitrovic, even if they got the £52 million that reportedly that's their valuation. I still wouldn't sell Mitrovic. I know how good Fulham are with Mitrovic. I want them to add, as I was reading from Dan's article, Fulham are looking to add players. So why would you want to take away a player that means as much as Alexander Mitrovic? So I'm buying all of these stories, but I have hope. This is just my gut feeling that Fulham will stand tall and not give in to the pressure, but only time will tell if I'm right or if I'm wrong. Right now, they have done it, and I have to give them credit for that. We'll see if they can see this thing out because there's a lot of pressure coming at them from Al Hilal. Okay. Coming up next, I'm going to share my thoughts on Adama Traore and the speculation with Callum Hudson-Odoi. Okay. As I've mentioned prior, I'm actually really happy about the signing of Adama Traore. I think he is a player that just scares you with his pace and power. As a goal scorer, he does struggle a little bit, but I think under Silva, I have a hope that we might see the best version of Adama Traore. He's only 27 years old. So for me, I love this move. And also the fact that his teammate, Raul Jimenez, based on the interview that I watched, recommended Traore to Fulham, that speaks volumes. Now you have two teammates on Fulham that were on Wolves. I think this is a good thing. I think he could offer something that is a little bit different that Fulham have not had. Pace and power. And he's got both of them together. So I am very hopeful of the signing of Adama Traore. We can reap the rewards from that. Okay. To end the show, there was speculation from Sky Sports today, a journalist for Sky Sports, that Fulham are still trying their best to sign Callum Hudson-Odoi. Dan Crawford mentioned that in his article. Here is a player that, again, it would be a reclamation project. He's only 22 years old. And I think if Fulham can get this over the line, this is just a huge signing. Plus, Fulham need younger players. And if he develops to the player that everyone thought he would turn out to be, then Fulham got a steal here. So I don't know what they're haggling back and forth. Make this a deal. Let's get this over the line. Callum Hudson-Odoi could be a huge signing for Fulham Football Club. So let's see if it happens. Right now, it is just speculation, but I do hope it does come to fruition and Fulham have another signing hopefully this week. I've heard some rumors we could have a signing this week. We shall see if that turns out to be. Okay. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of Cottage Talk. As always, please do subscribe on YouTube and Apple Podcasts. It does help other Fulham supporters find us. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. My name is Russ Goldman. Thank you as always for watching and listening to Cottage Talk, part of the talkSPORT Fan Network.